Today I'm going to be explaining this Universe Iceberg to the best of my abilities, and I know I'm a bit tardy to the party when it comes to this whole iceberg trend, but I'm used to having fun by myself at this point, so it shouldn't be a big deal. But anyways, the universe is full of mysteries, so I have no time to waste, so let's go ahead and hop into the surface level here and start explaining. So first up, we got Tabby's star, aka KIC 8462852. And this star is a yellow-white dwarf star located around 1,300 light years away from Earth. It was discovered back in 2015 and has been making researchers scratch their noggins ever since because it isn't behaving properly, like a kid who keeps sticking his hand in the cookie jar. But in Tabby star's case, there's a major degree of strangeness about how the star behaves because the dimming of the star seems to be completely unpredictable. It's dimmed up to 22% and dimmed as low as only 5%. And one of the biggest theories for quite some time, among many other theories, was that there was an alien megastructure around Tabby's star, and that was the reason for its unexplainable behavior, because anytime something is unexplainable in space, the natural response is to point fingers and say, "Aliens did it! Aliens did it!" But recently, researchers pretty much cracked the code on Tabby's star, and the new research suggests that the strange brightening and dimming fluctuations of the star could be the result of a disintegrating exomoon in orbit around the star. Our next entry is Golden Records, and these are 12-inch gold-plated copper discs that were put on board the Voyager 1 as well as the Voyager 2 spacecrafts to act as a time capsule for humanity to tell the story to extraterrestrials or just whoever may stumble upon them. And these records are protected by an aluminum jacket along with a cartridge and a needle, as well as instructions on how the spacecraft was made, as well as, explaining how to use the records themselves. And as for the content on the records, it's split up into 4 categories. You got images, music, sounds, and greetings. And as for the actual content that's separated into these 4 categories, it's exactly what you would expect it to be, just some of the biggest parts of life on Earth, as well as the greatest achievements performed on it. So you got stuff like human fetuses, all the way to Mia Khalifa goating herself on video. And now, I don't know if that's actually on there, that was just a joke. It's probably like the moon landing or something. They probably don't have that on there. Although that is a pretty big part of human life, so it might just be on there. Everything on the record is listed on NASA's website, so you could go take a gander on there, and it may just be on there. Who knows? I didn't look through all of it. The 9th planet. I think everyone knows what this is. It's Pluto, the former 9th planet who got kicked out from the group of super planet best friends because he wasn't quite big enough. Body shaming? I think so. I still wake up in cold sweats because they evicted my boy Pluto. They did him dirty. They spat in his face and kicked him to the curb without even like a 2-week notice. Disrespectful, man. Gone, but never forgotten. Rest in peace, Pluto. If I could live on you, I would. I would leave Earth in a heartbeat for you. I want you to know that. It's just that you're not super hospitable, you're not really livable, and you are kind of really far away, so that's just, I don't do long-distance relationships. The Big Bang, another topic on here that you should really already know about. It's the scientific explanation for the birth of the universe, as well as what I did with your mother last night. Sorry, I'll stop the your mom jokes. That's the only one in this video, I swear. I had to. It was set up. I had to do it. It was teed up. I had to hit it. But if you're unfamiliar with this in the shortest way possible, the Big Bang is a theory that the universe expanded from one point of high density and temperature into everything that we know is the observable universe today. And that's a very gross oversimplification of the Big Bang. There's a whole lot more that goes into it, a whole lot of scientific mumbo-jumbo, but, just for a simple summary, that's basically what it is. Uranus Sideways. I'm sorry, I can't call it Uranus. I just can't bring myself to call it. It's Uranus. It's always going to be Uranus. But anyways, this is a reference to the planet Uranus's 90-degree tilt that makes it look a bit wacky in comparison to the other planets in the solar system, and it's believed that this ice giant became this way after multiple impacts from outside forces hitting the planet over millions and millions and billions of years, causing it to go and turn 90 degrees. It does look a bit cool, honestly, just looking at it here. It looks pretty dope with the ring surrounding it, and it's like vertical. It makes it stand out, makes it look different from the other planets in our solar system. String theory. Oh boy, am I not looking forward to explaining this. I know a bunch of armchair scientists and physicists are going to rip me to shreds if they see this, but I'm going to try my best. I just want to preface this by saying string theory isn't something I can really sum up in a couple of sentences for the sake of this iceberg. There are full books and even college courses on this topic, so it's a bit of a doozy. Not to mention the theory is still being worked on itself, but I'll give it my best shot. And just, remember this is coming from a very small brain. So, string theory is the idea that the universe is made up of these little infinitesimal vibrating strings, even smaller than atoms, and these strings fold, vibrate, and twist into tiny dimensions that we simple-minded humans can't interpret as everything around us. Sorry, I messed that up, Jesus Christ. I said it's what us simple-minded humans can't interpret as everything around us. It's what us simple-minded humans can and do interpret as everything around us. Pioneer Plaque. I'm realizing now after I wrote all of this up that I did this in the wrong order because the Pioneer Plaques are the predecessors to the aforementioned golden records on the Voyager crafts, but it doesn't really matter. But anyways, these Pioneer plaques were on the Pioneer 10 and 11 spacecrafts. They are small golden metal plaques identifying their time and place of origin for any alien life form that may happen to stumble across them. And the contents of these plaques show our location in the galaxy as well as depictions of naked male and females to show what human life looks like. And these plaques were also the brainchild of the great Carl Sagan, and each plaque was sent in the direction of a specific area of the universe set to reach their destination in a couple million years. So until then, we won't really know if anyone received our information. Actually, we'll never really know unless they send something back, but then we'll all be dust by then. Dust in the wind. But these Pioneer plaques, as well as the golden records on the Voyager crafts, are just very interesting thought experiments to, have in your head. Like, what's going to happen? Has someone already found them? Is anyone ever going to find them? It's a great mystery. It's another great mystery to add to the infinite amount of mysteries that are already in our universe. Tesla Roadster. Everybody probably knows about this more than everything on this list so far. The man who just bought Twitter, Elon Musk's company, SpaceX, sent a Tesla Roadster to space with a dummy in the driver's seat, and the space launch itself was a dummy payload for the Falcon Heavy rocket, which just launched again yesterday as the time of me recording this video. And Elon plans to use this Falcon Heavy rocket to transport goods as well as people through space, and this was a test launch for the rocket to be further developed and, worked on. And the reason he used a $100,000 car for this dummy payload, this test launch, besides him being grossly rich, a multi-billionaire, it was just so that the launch would be less boring, according to Elon himself. So that's how you got screw you money when you can just do that. But I can't say this didn't result in some pretty dope pictures. These things are fun to look at. It's pretty goofy, honestly. Hey, fun fact, this is the car that has traveled the most distance ever. Also the only car to be outside of Earth. Just something to think about. This car is somewhere orbiting the sun right now, I believe, as well. So it's on that highway to heaven, I guess. The final entry of the surface level of this iceberg is the WOW signal. The WOW signal was a strong narrowband radio signal detected way back in ancient times of August 15th. I can't speak. I swear it would help if I could speak. August 15th of 1977. The signal was detected at Ohio State University's Big Ear radio telescope when they were searching for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence. And they might have just got what they were looking for because the signal they received was very unusual, and the astronomer who reviewed the data, Jerry Eman, I don't know how to pronounce that, wrote "wow" with an exclamation point next to the data, hence how it got its name, the WOW signal. But ever since this signal was detected, people have argued back and forth whether it came from alien life or if it was just simply a star. And even after 40 years of theories, people still can't really fully agree on any of them. So it's just a big old mystery that maybe we're going to have to get Scooby and the gang to solve. Moving on down to just below the surface now, Triton was captured. So, scientists believe that Triton was part of the Kuiper belt that was then captured by Neptune sometime in the very ancient past, way, way, way before dinosaurs. Because much like our moon, Triton is locked into a synchronized rotation with Neptune, where one side faces the planet at all times. So this is just a little theory. It's not really even a theory. It's pretty much confirmed, I believe, that Neptune's gravity field kind of just grabbed Triton out of the Kuiper belt, and just sucked it in and said, hey, you're a moon now. Heat death, also known as the Big Chill or the Big Freeze. It's one of the many theories on how the universe is going to end, because there are an endless amount of those. You're going to soon find out. But anyways, in its simplest form, the idea of heat death involves increasing entropy to the point where no thermodynamic energy transfer would be possible whatsoever, which means no more free energy for motion or life, and the end of everything. Because with no free energy, nothing can do nothing. So, blammo. I feel so dumb explaining stuff like this. I'm gonna get ripped to shreds. But, you know, that's just something to think about while you fall asleep. Even if this one doesn't do it for you, there's going to be a couple other end of the universe scenarios that may just make you feel a bit existential. Nibiru. This is quite a popular term. This is one I've heard about before doing this. It's a cataclysm that is supposed to happen to Earth when it collides with a large planetary object that some believe is supposed to happen in the 21st century. It's practically just a baseless doomsday event, though, that people refer to as Nibiru or Planet X. They think this thing's going to come hurling in like a fastball and ram into the Earth, causing, you know, explosion worldwide. Plan 9. I believe this is one of the joke entries that the original poster of the iceberg on Reddit mentioned. They said that they threw a couple of joke, like, not serious topics in. I only found 2 or 3. Maybe I missed a couple. They went like poof right over my big forehead. But I believe this is one of them, because all I found while searching for this was an operating system and then a movie called Plan 9 from Outer Space, which is about people trying to resurrect all dead people on Earth to bring doomsday or something. I don't know. Next entry. Nudes sent to aliens. I thought this was one of the joke entries as well at first, but no, it's real, and we've actually already talked about it. But basically, a bunch of information has been sent out regarding life on Earth in codes of 1s and 0s, as well as images on the plaques that I talked about a minute ago. They want to send out pixelated images of naked humans, quote, because aliens would probably want to know what we look like. And this, obviously, like I said a second ago, isn't the first time that we've done this. We've done this with the Pioneer craft, even the Voyager crafts, and apparently as well in codes, in binary, in 1s and 0s, we've done it as well. I don't know how you do it. Maybe it's like a copy pasta of sorts, but yeah, we've sent out our genitalia to aliens a handful of times. One might say those are even unsolicited nudes, and NASA should be arrested for that. Arecibo Signal. Don't know if that's how you pronounce that, but this was a signal sent out all the way back in 1974 to the M13 cluster that just contains basic information about Earth and life on the planet. So this may also include some of the nudes that I talked about a second ago. But the message, it consists of 1,679 bits arranged in 73 lines of 23 characters. And they specifically made the numbers into prime numbers, so it may be easier for alien life to read it if they, you know, if math really is a universal language. COBE. This stands for Cosmic Background Explorer, also known as Explorer 66. It was a NASA satellite dedicated to cosmology. It operated from 1989 to 1993, and its objective was to investigate the cosmic microwave background radiation of the universe to provide knowledge that would help us better understand the universe itself. Because cosmic background radiation, or cosmic microwave background radiation, that's like a tongue twister. That pretty much just allows us to kind of look back in time. They've even used that to like look as far back as a couple 100,000 years after the Big Bang. So that's some pretty interesting stuff right there, and we do actually talk about that a bit later. Gravitational lensing. It's a visual effect caused by gravity. The effect is caused when a huge amount of matter, like your mother, I'm so sorry. I pinky promised I wouldn't do it anymore. I can't break a pinky promise. I double pinky promise I won't make any more your mom jokes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I understand if you click off. Back to this. The effect is caused when a huge amount of matter, like a cluster of galaxies for example, gives off such massive gravitational force that it distorts and magnifies the light from distant galaxies that are behind it, but in the same line of sight. Maybe that makes you paint the picture in your head, maybe not. It's a bit hard to wrap my head around as well. Fermi Paradox. The Fermi Paradox is one of my absolute favorite things to learn about and watch YouTube videos about when it comes to space. There's a great channel who talks about this topic a lot, and as well as other space stuff. His name is John Michael Godier. Absolutely love the guy's channel. But this is it just creates some of the wackiest theories possible, and that's why I love it so much. In simplest terms, the Fermi Paradox is a conflict between the lack of evidence for extraterrestrial life and the high likelihood for their existence. The paradox asks, that's so hard to say for some reason. It asks, where are the aliens? And the main goal is to go through all the possibilities of alien life to find out where they are and if they're even out there at all. A little fun fact as well, this paradox is named after Enrico Fermi, who apparently would bring up topics like, quote, if our universe is so old and our solar system is so young, Earth should have been visited by aliens already. He would talk about stuff like this regularly, apparently, during lunch and just while talking to friends. And it's questions and just thoughts like this that make me so fascinated with space in the first place. Because there's something so intriguing about possibly never knowing the answer to something that just makes you want to speculate as wildly as you can. Because any idea could be just as plausible as the other, no matter how much sense it makes in your human brain. One thing that sounds so bonkers and one thing that sounds so grounded, the bonkers thing could turn out to be true, and the thing that sounds grounded in reality could turn out to be so far from the truth. Haumea, I'm definitely butchering that. Anyways, this is a dwarf planet located a bit beyond Neptune's orbit in the Kuiper belt, like I mentioned a bit ago in like one of the first entries. It was discovered back in 2004, just 2 years after the best year ever, because that was the year I was born, and it's roughly the same size as Pluto, and it's also one of the fastest rotating objects in our solar system, which distorts it into this shape and makes it look like a football, and I love football. And something I thought was pretty cool while researching this thing is that it was apparently nicknamed Santa by one of the groups who discovered it. And there's also a bit of a war going on between a bunch of groups arguing who actually discovered this thing in the first place. Who discovered the dwarf planet that looks like a football? Who did it? That's a question that's never going to be answered as well. Earth does not orbit the sun. This one threw me for a loop. It had me searching for a bit. I couldn't quite, it just didn't sound right in my head whatsoever. But from what I found, this is like a technicality of sorts. It's suggesting that the sun and the earth are in a barycenter of sorts, which means that the earth is rotating on something that's slightly off from the sun, but it's honestly like one of your siblings telling your mom that you're touching them, so you hover your finger and go, I'm not touching them, I'm not touching them, I'm almost touching them. It just seems like a petty thing to do, you know? It's nah. The Earth doesn't rotate around the sun. What? It pretty much does. Just leave it at that. Venus upside down. This is another wacky little planet like Neptune because Venus orbits the sun anti-clockwise, and its unusual axis rotation is because the planet is flopped upside down permanently. And the backstory as to how Venus got turned upside down was that in its early history, it was hit by many celestial bodies that tilted it up so far that it flipped upside down. Much like Neptune, except Neptune isn't quite flipped upside down, it's only 90 degrees. Wait, I was saying Neptune. It's Uranus, not Neptune. Every time I just said Neptune, cross that out and put Uranus in your brain. I'm not going to fix it myself. Moving down deeper into icier waters now. Moon destroyed to form rings of Saturn, also referred to as Chrysalis lost because Chrysalis was the moon of Saturn, and 100 to 200 million years ago, it drifted so close to Saturn that it just poof disintegrated, and much of the material floated onto the planet Saturn, but a small fraction flung outwards and became the rings of Saturn that we're so familiar with today. Big Crunch theory. Another end of the universe theory, I promised there'd be some more of those, and this one states that the universe will expand so far it will eventually stop, reverse as gravity pulls on the matter, and then recollapse, falling inward. Another good insomnia booster. Pretty much just everything's going to go out, and then whoom, big crunch. WMAP, which stands for Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, Jesus Christ, was a NASA spacecraft that was active from 2001 to 2010, and its objective was to measure temperature differences in the cosmic microwave background. And the pretty daggone big achievement of the WMAP was that it determined the age of the universe to be 13.8 billion years old by studying the cosmic microwave background. Pretty neato. Little green men. I searched this one up and I couldn't find anything really in specific, so I'm just assuming this is referring to the standard Hollywood vision of aliens, what everyone most widely associates with aliens, like the little green men with big black eyes and, you know, the little fingers, and they're tiny, like 3 foot tall. So that's just what I'm going to go for with this one. Just, you know, little green men, little green aliens, what we all associate as being aliens. That's what I'm guessing. 10th planet. This is in reference to another dwarf planet that was discovered. It was actually larger in size than Pluto, but 3 times as far away from the sun as Pluto. And immediately after it was discovered, it was dubbed the 10th planet, but officially it was never dubbed the 10th planet. It was never actually officially the 10th planet. But now it's called Eris, and even though it's bigger than Pluto, it isn't recognized as an official planet in the solar system. Maybe it and Pluto can form like a partnership and be the 2 dwarfs or something, and work on getting to the 7 dwarfs. Maybe. I'm sure there's a couple more dwarf planets out there near Eris, so they can just kind of like form their own little mini dwarf solar system. That'd be cute. Face on Mars detected by Viking. No, Vikings back in the olden times didn't cut some scalps off people and then look up and see a face on Mars. This is referencing Viking, the spacecraft, which there were actually 2 of, and they were sent out by NASA. Viking 1 was sent to Mars to find a landing spot for its sister ship, and Viking 2 was the craft that snapped the iconic photo of a pile of rocks on Mars that makes it look like there's a face on the surface of the planet. I'm sure you've seen it. Very iconic. Very cool as well. Pluto-Charon double planet system. Pluto is an odd little planet. Its orbit is tilted and more elliptical than any other planet in the solar system. It rotates upside down, so it's a quirky little guy for sure. And then 12 years ago, a ground-based photo discovered Pluto's moon Charon, I don't know how to say it, which turns out is half the size of Pluto, making it the largest moon in comparison to the planet it orbits in the solar system. And it's because of this fact that Pluto is referred to as a double planet, because the moon and the planet are so similar in size. Nemesis. Nemesis is a hypothetical red dwarf or brown dwarf star, and it's thought to be a companion to our sun, very similar to our sun, and the theory was created to explain a possible cycle of mass extinction events on Earth. Scientists speculated that such a star could affect the orbit of objects in the outer solar system, which could send them on a crash course with Earth, hence the name they gave it, because it's practically Earth's evil twin, always trying to destroy it. Big Bounce. This is a hypothesized I can't speak. It's a hypothesized cosmological model for the origin of the universe. And the theory states that the universe is expanding and contracting, just seesawing back and forth in a huge picture timeline. And some believe this bouncing only happened once. Others believe that the bouncing is what makes our universe function. It's just an alternate theory to the Big Bang. It's like enjoying hentai. Like, it's kind of weird, but it's close enough to like real porn, so it could work as well. Golfing on the moon. I had no idea this happened, but someone hit 2 golf balls while on the moon. His name was Alan Shepard, and he brought his 6-iron with him on the Apollo 14 mission, which, surprisingly enough, is actually on video, which I'm going to show you right now. I didn't promise you could see the quality, but you can make out what's happening. 240p is good enough. You can see him bringing up the 6-iron, And he goes for the swing. Wait, did he go for the swing? I genuinely can't tell. That's so bad quality. Oh, he's going for it now, I think. Yeah. Is he? Oh, yeah, he hit it. That was the second one, I think, right? Yeah, he hit the second one there. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Good quality, for sure. Yeah. But anyways, that's that. A man just golfed on the moon. He hit 2 golf balls. So there's 2 golf balls out there on the moon somewhere. Go find them. Time to dive to even darker waters, so I hope you're not scared of the dark. Don't look at the moon. This is another fake entry, but it comes from the Local 58 YouTube channel, so it's quite unsettling. The reference itself, though, comes from the video Local 58 TV-Weather Service on Local 58's YouTube channel, and it's hard to explain without the context, so just watch that video for yourself to get truly unsettled, but I'll throw up the screenshot from the video where it says don't look at the moon. Very good channel, though, if you're looking to be unsettled. I know spooky season just passed, but you can still get a bit spooky until Christmas. Martian Spoon. This is just a simple photo taken on the Martian surface where a rock happens to look like a spoon, and it was captured by the NASA rover Curiosity. Here's the picture. Simple as that. Chariklo, also known as 10199 Chariklo, it is the largest confirmed centaur, which a centaur is any population of small bodies in space that revolve around the sun in the outer solar system. And this centaur, Chariklo, orbits the sun between Saturn and Uranus, and in 2014 they discovered that Chariklo had 2 rings orbiting itself, which makes it the first minor planet known to have rings. So that's pretty cool. You can be a little tiny old planet and still have rings. That's pretty inspiring. That's a very motivational story. Penis drawing in the Moon Museum. This one is so wacky, it's right up my alley. But the name Moon Museum, first off, it's a bit misleading on this one because the museum is actually just a little ceramic wafer the size of a postage stamp. So, you know, this is like bragging about having a huge penis and then whipping it out and it's a millimeter defeater. It's just like, why hop it up if you're just going to let everybody down? Anyways, 6 people drew on this thing, that being John Chamberlain, Forrest Myers, David Novros, Claes Oldenburg, Robert Rauschenberg, and Andy Warhol. Robert drew the straight line, David drew the black abstract square, John drew the unfinished squares, Claes put his signature, which looks like a derpy Mickey Mouse that a first grader would draw, and then Forrest drew the linked symbol, and Andy, final old Andy, put a stylized signature, which, you know, come on, this is just a traditional penis drawing. You're not fooling us with that, Andy. All men can't resist to draw a penis, and you did it. You may call it a stylized signature, but I know a penis drawing when I see one. I've perfected the art form. Center of the Universe. The name of this is also quite misleading because it isn't actually the center of the universe. It's a location in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They tried to sneak Tulsa, Oklahoma in there. But that's the home to this very mysterious acoustic phenomena. And I'm going to show you an example from the news right now.
Anyone standing outside the circle won't hear what you hear.
Yeah.
I can't hear it at all.
So you got a little glimpse of it right there. Basically, you stand inside that circle right there and anything you say will be like echoed. And only the people in the circle can hear the echo. Once you step outside it, you can't hear the echo. But it will pick it up in there. Very weird mystery, I do gotta admit. Aliens under the crust of Europa. This is a theory that there are aliens living inside Jupiter's moon, Europa. And the main support behind this theory is because scientists researching Jupiter's moons discovered that there could possibly be water underneath the ice sheets on the planet that could potentially support life. So that's where that comes from. When there's a will, there's a way. So maybe there's aliens under the crust of Europa. Russell's Teapot. This is one of my personal favorites on this entire iceberg, but it's an analogy created by Bertrand Russell, and it states that the philosophical burden of proof lies on the person making empirically unfalsifiable statements rather than shifting the disproof to others. So if you were to say, since we can't prove God's existence through observation, we should assume that God doesn't exist until given a reason to believe otherwise. So the burden of proof should be on the religious group to prove God's existence rather than the person who doesn't believe in God. To simplify it even further, it's like me going, hey, there's some green eggs and ham behind that wall over there. And then there's someone standing beside me and I'm like, hey, prove that there's some green eggs and ham behind that wall over there. And they're like, no, you prove it because you said it. So I go over there, walk behind the wall, grab the green eggs and ham and go, hey, here's the proof of what I said about green eggs and ham being behind that wall. It's pretty much just, if you're going to make a ridiculous claim, you got to find the proof, not someone that disagrees with you, which makes sense. Age of Enceladus. I don't know how to say a lot of words on this list, but Enceladus is Saturn's 6th largest moon, and I believe that this is in reference to the age of the moon itself, which is 1 billion years old. And you thought your grandma was old. Anyway, scientists have said that this age makes the moon perfect for starting and evolving life on it. So maybe that's going to happen. Human ashes left the solar system. From my Google searches, I believe this is referring to the grave furthest away from Earth when Claude Tombaugh, the man who discovered Pluto, had 1 ounce of his remains taken to the outer edge of the solar system, which took over 2 decades, on board the New Horizons spacecraft. And the capsule of his ashes, inscribed on it, it described him as a father, husband, astronomer, teacher, punster, and friend. So he sounds like a pretty good guy. And that honestly would be my ideal way of burial. I think I would love my final send-off to be through the great unknown of the cosmos, rather than being like underneath, 6 feet under on a planet, the same planet that Twitter's on. No thank you. Shoot me out, salute, or don't salute, just send me out and forget about me. We're about to get below the iceberg now, baby. Starting off with vacuum decay. This is yet another theory on the end of the universe. I guess those space nerds really love to think of ways finally ending, huh? But this one's kind of neat. I gotta say. I'm gonna try to sum it all up once again here, but basically, space contains a lot of fluctuating quantum fields that make the particles responsible for the fundamental laws of physics. I sound really convincing saying that, huh? You really think I understand all those words I just said, don't you? Anyways, when this space has as little energy as possible, this is when it becomes a vacuum state. And when these quantum fields are making particles in their vacuum states, the universe is stable. And by definition, these vacuum states can't lose energy. If they could, it would change the fundamental way the particles work and in turn change the way the universe works. And if that were to happen, that means the end of the universe. There's a lot more that goes into this, obviously. There's stuff like Higgs fields and other big space terms, but for the sake of keeping these summaries as short as possible, you can look up more if you're interested. I think I covered all my bases I needed to for a simple summary. Hypersphere Universe. You know we're deep on this iceberg when we're getting words like hypersphere, but this states that our universe could be the hypersurface of a hypersphere. Now, get ready because I'm about to explain that in big words I stole from an EDU website. A hypersphere is a 4-dimensional analog of a sphere, and even though a sphere exists in a 3D space, its surface is only 2-dimensional. In the same vein, a hypersphere has 3-dimensional surface that curves into the 4th dimension, and it's theorized that our universe could be the surface of this 4D sphere. If that made sense. Big Bang caused by quantum tunneling. So, real quickly, a caveman explanation of quantum tunneling is that it occurs when particles penetrate a potential energy barrier with a height greater than the total energy of the particles. And that's a big deal because it violates the principles of classical mechanics. Now, as for quantum tunneling being the cause of the Big Bang, that's a pretty hot debate, much like everything on this Universe Iceberg is. But as I came to find out, some say it's not possible, and some say it could be possible. But from the threads online, I think it's most widely accepted that the Big Bang would have been a result of multiple quantum occurrences, so it wasn't only caused by quantum tunneling. And I know that's a weird answer to this one, but I couldn't find any concrete explanation to directly explain how Big Bang was caused by quantum tunneling. Strange matter. As the name suggests, this is a matter that behaves strangely to the matter that we're widely used to. It's heavier than normal matter, and it's much more unorganized. It's pretty much just in a clump where the quarks can just run hog wild Also, it isn't real. Did I mention that? Well, it isn't real in the sense that it's only theorized, which most of the stuff on this list is. It's only theorized to exist and hasn't actually been discovered, but it came to be a thought baby back in the 1970s when physicists theorized what would happen if protons and neutrons were squished inhumanly hard. So yeah, it's just a hypothetical slightly heavier than normal matter. Curvature of the universe. The spatial curve of the universe is defined by general relativity. Einstein said that space was curved and that matter was the source of the curve. But also, while searching through this topic, I've seen a couple of things saying that the universe was flat. So I don't know if it's like the flat earthers type deal. The flat space people do sound kind of crazier, so I'm going to be more inclined to believe Einstein and people on his side. So next one. Cold spot of the cosmic microwave background. This is a region of the sky seen in microwaves, not the stuff you heat your food up in, fatty. I'm sorry. That was found to be that was messed up. That was messed up. But it was found to be unusually large and cold relative to what we typically expect from cosmic microwave background radiation. And the most likely reason seems to be because of cosmic inflation. So you can't even escape inflation when you traverse the galaxy. It's messed up. It's a messed up world we live in. Messed up galaxy we live in, rather. White holes. Oh, sorry. Not that kind of white hole. That's my bad. That's my bad. But white holes are theorized opposites of black holes. Woo. They're basically the yang to black holes' yin. It's been debated as well that white holes and black holes may be two sides of the same coin. And it's also stated that a black hole's event horizons are a point of no return, and a white hole's event horizons are a boundary of no admission. Also, I should mention that white holes are theorized. They haven't been proven just yet, but I think that goes without saying at this point for everything on this list. But a white hole acts like an impenetrable force field with objects inside being able to leave and interact with the world outside, but no outside event will ever be able to affect anything inside of a white hole, and that's kind of freaky, kind of scary. Pocket universes, a term that was coined by Alan Guth. I'm sorry, that name is so funny. Guth. Anyways, and it means a pocket of space, or region of space, where the environment, laws of nature, constants of nature are all uniform, and these pockets of space are more or less identifiable with things we know as our universe, and each different pocket universe could have its own landscape and physical laws completely different from ours. This theory just stems from string theory, pretty much, I believe, which I already explained and was harder to understand than an angry infant, so I may not have explained it very well, even though I practically copied and pasted from a Stanford article. We're almost at the bottom, baby! Origin of Europa's pink/brown discoloration. As I previously established, Europa is one of Jupiter's moons, and the reason it's the color that it is due to the ethnicity of its parents. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. The real reason is pretty debated, from salts to bacteria, but it's most likely due to frozen bits of bacteria on the planet that give off the reddish-pink color, and the bacteria would also help to explain the mysterious infrared signals that the moon gives off, because Europa is mostly ice, but the infrared signals it gives off are different of that of normal ice. So the bacteria theory, however, has been said to be a bit far-fetched, but it can't be ruled out either until we go there ourselves. And as for the brown color, it's highly probable that those are from widespread disruption and fracturing on the moon, just like divots and cracks and craters and whatnot. Iron stars. This is a hypothetical type of compact star that won't be making a guest appearance in the universe until a very, 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 very long time from now. If you think I'm exaggerating, they'll be here in about 10 to the 1500 power years from now. And when I put that in a calculator, it just says undefined, which is that's how big of a number that is. But basically, iron stars, when they do happen, will just transform from stars, like a white dwarf, I believe, to a massive ball made completely of iron. Just a giant star-sized ball, fully solid iron. Think of the money! Jesus, man. Those galactic miners are going to have a field day when that happens. Messages encoded within CMB. Are there messages hidden in the cosmic microwave background? That was the proposition brought up by two people back in 2005. They think that there's potentially binary code hidden in the CMB. And through their investigation, they tried translating temperature variations, but unfortunately, the results were pretty meaningless. So unfortunately, our creators didn't draw like penises or anything for us to find in the cosmic microwave background. Unfortunately, there's no secrets, no Easter eggs to be found in the CMB. Viewing of exoplanets via gravitational lensing of the sun. This is just a cool method to make taking pictures of exoplanets look better. It involves using the effect of bending the rays from a star by the gravitational field of the sun to get an image of an exoplanet, which results in 1,000 times better magnification. Pretty neato. Pretty good little trick to capture those exoplanets 1,000 times better. Exact distance of WOW signal origin unknown. This is just an addition to the WOW signal, just stating that the origin of the signal is quite unknown, which, yeah. Even though they have recently narrowed it down to a potential area the signal originated from, they're still very, very far away from getting to the bottom of this mystery. So yeah, the origin is still very unknown. Copy of the observable universe within 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 15 meters. I think that's how you say that. This idea states that if the universe is sufficiently large and uniform, high-level calculations suggest our nearest doppelganger would be about 10 to the power of 10 to the power of 115 meters away. But I came to find out pretty quickly. The math doesn't really check out on this one. The real number would be many times larger than this, I believe. But still, to think that it's possible a copy of Earth is out there in the deep, deep, deep reaches of space, it's a bit hard to wrap your mind around that, let alone the immense distance you'd have to travel to get there. That one's a bit of a doozy, but it is still cool to think about that. Like somewhere out there, somewhere you're probably never going to get near traveling that far, but there could be a copy, an exact copy of what's happening right now on Earth, just so far away that we'll probably never know. Which I guess that could dip its toes into the parallel universe theories, but that's not on this iceberg, so I'm not going to do that. Now, though, we finally made it to the deepest point, the bottom of the road in that one SpongeBob episode, and we get to start off with folded dimensions at 1 millimeter. This one's a bit of a brain blaster, and I know I got a big forehead, I kind of look like Jimmy Neutron, so I should be able to handle that. But I believe it's referencing the idea that if you can fold a piece of paper in half so many times, it would be as thick as the distance to the moon. Fun fact, while I was searching that stuff up, is if you fold a piece of paper in half 103 times, it would be as thick as the observable universe. And the record is 13, I believe. So get to folding. Maybe you can make something super thick. But even trying to wrap your little brain around that is hard, because folding it 103 times doesn't seem like it would be as big as the observable universe, but I guess we'll never know because we can't do that. I think even folding it 50 times would be as thick as the distance to the sun, which that's just so hard to think about that as actually being real, because you think it'd get smaller as you fold it. I don't know. My brain's gonna erupt if I keep thinking about that for much longer. But anyways, as for folded dimensions at 1 millimeter, the best comparison I could come up with is that you could take the idea of folding space-time to travel and implement the folding paper in half trick to make space-time insanely thick. Not like double-cheeked up thick, but like big thick. Feel free to help me understand this if it completely just like missed me, if it just like went through one ear and out the other. I don't understand if I got this one right. I'm just kind of guesstimating at what I roughly know. Boltzmann Brain. This is probably one of the most famous thought experiments ever, and it states that it might be more likely for a single brain to form in a void than for the entire universe to come about the manner that scientists and physicists think it did. To get a bit more technical though, this means that given a very, very long time, the quantum fluctuations could create a self-aware entity much like me or you. It's very similar to that one theory that if you let a monkey play a piano at random forever, it would eventually play Beethoven or Mozart or something. Now, time for the final entry on the iceberg, the moment that probably no one's still here waiting for. WOW signal origin may be moving towards Earth. This one, admittedly, is a good one to end off on because it may just be one of the most unsettling on this entire iceberg. But this one is just as surface level as the entry title suggests. The origin of the mysterious WOW signal may just be heading towards our planet. That makes the already mysterious signal that much more frightening, because who knows, maybe it was after all directed at Earth. Maybe we were supposed to pick up on the signal and say wow, and then realize a bit too late that the signal is traveling towards Earth. Maybe it's a warning at something coming at us. Who knows? But it may be moving towards us. So that's another existential thought to put you to sleep. And also, that is going to be the end of the iceberg. That's going to do it for this one. I love nothing more than learning about frightening things regarding space, as well as fascinating things. So I thought it'd just be fun to do an iceberg on the universe, even though I am, like I said, 2 years late to this whole iceberg trend. Doesn't matter though. I enjoyed this. I had fun, and I hope you did too if you even watched this far. And this is probably going to be my most high effort as well as my longest video I ever make. Probably won't make another one, so enjoy this one while you can.